Hi guys and gals and kittens, and welcome to the IE Niro Magic Show. In this video I'm going to show you around in the new dashboard. So first of all, this is the new login screen. Now I've configured SMTP server in my backend, so that allows me to log in with a magnetic link, which means that you actually never have to remember your password as long as you configure your email correctly when you're signing in. And it also of course doubles as a forget password thing. And I've configured OIDC using Google OIDC, so I can also log in with Google, or you can log in with a username and a password. There's no register feature yet, but that's actually quite easy to create yourself if you want to. So anyways, you want to follow what I'm doing here. You go to hyperlambda.dev, you click this button, ta-da, you open a terminal window and you click Ctrl-V and carriage return, and takes 5 minutes, and then you have magic at localhost :5555, and then you log into the backend localhost :4444, or the other way around. I can't really remember. Doesn't matter. You'll figure it out as the Docker images are booting. So when we come into the magic dashboard, this is what you're looking at. Now, this might actually literally be, if you click this button, this might be the last time you ever see the dashboard. Because what you can do now, you can go into Claude or Codex or Coder or Cursor or any AI harness that can somehow deal with an MCP server. There's probably like 10,000 apps out there where you can take this URL, paste it in, and have magic extend that thing, whatever that thing happens to be. Why? Because it's the MCP protocol, and this thing will actually expose approximately 100 tools to your AI harness. If you just came for the chatbot, let me verify that I don't already have my hyperlambda dev guy here from some previous demonstration. And let me make sure I also delete its task. Copy, and let me show you. If all you need is an AI chatbot, you go here, you punch your URL hyperlambda.dev, you choose your model. GPT 5.6 Luna is really good. You choose your system instruction. Frank is probably what you want. You tell it how many pages. I'm going to crawl 3 because that goes fast. And then you click create chatbot, at which point 5 minutes later you have a landing page with the chatbot embedded onto. So if you're like a marketing agency or something like that and you want to impress your leads or clients, this is kind of like a cowboy trick to accomplish that. So hooray, it had to invoke OpenAI to summarize one of my pages, and that takes unfortunately a little bit of time. You know what, I'm not even going to demonstrate the rest of this. I'm just going to close this guy. It's going to finish in the background anyway, so that I can get around in this video. So here you have an explanation of what everything does. Here you have Ask Frank. If you're stuck, you click this guy and you ask it whatever questions you've got. This is an integrated AI customer service thing, and it can actually answer everything, right? It's built upon the entirety of the documentation website, which, by the way, you will find at docs.iniro.io here. And here you will also find Frank, the same AI chatbot, actually. So, what more do we have here? We have HyperID. Now, I need to emphasize absolutely everything that I'm showing in this video is actually exposed over the MCP server, implying that you can create software, you can automate magic, you can create scheduled tasks, any things you want. Using the MCP server, you literally never have to use the IDE unless you absolutely want to. However, it's got a lot of really nifty features, which yet again can be accessed through the MCP server too. Such as here, for instance, I'm copying the OpenAPI specification, right, for one single function. If I want the whole module, I go up here, choose this guy. And it says OpenAPI specification if you wait for 5 minutes. This is going to take a little bit more time because it's going to have to traverse the whole folder and build up its metadata. But it's going to come hopefully after a while. And there we go. And here it is. So here you see the OpenAPI specification for the entirety of that Chinook module. Right? The Chinook module, I mean in Magic, a module is just a folder. Then we have the playground. You know what, I'm going to skip the playground, but basically it allows you to do funny stuff with hyperlambda. Then we have SQL Studio. Here you can load snippets, you can choose your databases, you can of course use SQLite and Postgres and MySQL and everything, right? And you can execute SQL. Now, interestingly here, so here we're selecting name and count from album and artist. Now, if we write here now, add count of how many songs each artist has. Because this is a language bar, you see this particular magic installation is configured with an OpenAI AI API key. So if I now go to my configuration, I can't do that on this video because then I'm going to show my API key, right? But I've got an API key, right, for OpenAI. So it's actually going to be using the default module, which I think is GPT 5.6 Terra by default if you go to Task Manager. And then it's going to use that to transform my SQL according to my instructions. So you actually can use AI from the IDE directly, similarly to how you can do with, I don't know, Copilot or whatever. Here you can connect to any database you have. Can click external here, at which point you can supply a connection string, username and a password, etc., etc. I can't do that because if I got connection strings over there, I'm going to show my secrets and passwords, but it's very easy. If you do that, you can actually use the generator on your existing legacy databases. Now, if I go first to Playground or HyperID, and then I delete the Chinook module, I want to illustrate a point here. And now I go back to the generator. If I choose Chinook here now, and I choose all tables, and I choose all possible endpoints the thing can create, and I click Generate Backend, then some roughly 10 seconds later, let's wait for it, 109 HTTP endpoints and 6,290 lines of code. That was not AI, that was meta-programming, right? So in this code, there cannot, not even in theory, exist a bug or a hallucination. And the API works immediately. Instant API, basically. 109 HTTP methods in how many seconds? 5 seconds. Every single CRUD operation, aggregate, count, distinct, group by, and even a search endpoint that you can use as an alternative for VSS and RAG. So now let's go past databases. Generator here now. Yes, so we saw the generator. Here are the endpoints. This is kind of like Magic's swashbuckle or swagger component or something. Can invoke HTTP methods. You can, of course, do that from HyperID too, but this is a module specifically designed for invoking. Users and roles. The whole system is RBAC, role-based access controls. Here you can control who's got access and what type of access they have, basically. Then we have the task manager. Here you can create a task. And let me show you something really cool. Open database Chinook. Select all album rows. Then save, convert to CSV and save album rows to etc. backup 2026.csv. You see, you can actually create scheduled tasks using natural language. You see, this code here now is 100% correct. So if I save this, if I give this task a name, backup, and takes a backup every day, and I save the task, now I can schedule this task to run, for instance, once in the future, or like every 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, etc., or a custom repetition pattern, which basically implies every Tuesday and Thursday at 5 a.m. UTC time in the morning, etc., etc. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to delete this task to clean up and then show you machine learning. Remember how we crawled hyperlambda.dev at the beginning of this video? Well, here you can actually see all of the information that the system found during crawling. That wasn't much. Well, I guess we only crawled 3 pages, so this is probably as expected, I presume. So let's see, here we have some information. So this is the RAG data associated with that AI chatbot. If I want to now, if I had a client who actually wanted this chatbot, I could click embed, click copy embed script here after parameterizing it with my colors, etc., and send that as a script inclusion HTML tag to my client such that he can embed it on his WordPress page or whatever website he's got, right? And you got history and training data and all that beautiful stuff. You can, of course, create AI functions and, widgets. And, this video's not going to have time to dive into that, but those are two kick-ass subjects. Plugins. System's got like 29 plugins. MCP actually is a plugin, OAuth 2, HubSpot, WordPress, etc., etc. It's got plugins for everything, and whatever it doesn't have plugins for, you can actually probably create yourself using vibe coding. You go to HyperID, modules, you create inside of Chinook, for instance, foo.hl, and you write some code here. HTTP endpoint with optional paging and sorting, selecting artist rows from Chinook database, requires root role to be executed and logs all input arguments. Also sends an email to Thomas Hansen, thomas@iniro.io with a notification stating endpoint was invoked. So I'm trying to kind of like create something complex here such that the generator kind of like gets something to put its teeth into. But basically I'm selecting all the text now, I'm clicking generate, and ta-da! Some few seconds later I got Hyperlambda code that actually does the thing that I wrote now in the English description, hopefully, with a little bit of luck. I did stretch it a little bit, I need to emphasize. Very often when you generate Hyperlambda like this, what you want to do, you want to generate like multiple smaller files and then like use them kind of like, sequentially, etc., etc. So, but let's see. And there we go, limit offset order direction. 100% perfectly correct. Auto ticket.verify root. Okay, only root users can invoke this guy. Here it's parameterizing the read invocation here, and then it's parameterizing the log invocation here, and then it's sending an email to thomas@iniro.io with a subject of notification and content endpoint was invoked. Finished. 100% correct. So let's see what more we can do here. And I think it's actually only the profile and the log that remains, because I actually can't show you my configuration. Here you can generate a token if you need some sort of like, CAI or, stuff, CI, CD, etc., etc. I'm choosing the guest role here, so it's actually not dangerous. I mean, this token is literally worthless for the record. Everybody gets it if they log in using OIDC anyways. So, but if I had instead selected root, right, then I could completely automate it, submitted it to GitHub or something, and have like pipelines triggering stuff inside my Cloudlet, etc., etc. And then, of course, the audit log. And that is the last component. And of course, it applies for filtering, invoking, OpenAI, blah, blah, blah. And that was it for today's video. Remember to like, subscribe, and all that beautiful stuff. And remember, we started out at hyperlambda.dev. Go here. You're shining. Have a nice day.